I would say Sanctum here is actually a great map for Mayhem Academy up against Fusion University. Who are you? You know, he's known for his Genji. He's still learning to flex and bring in these other projectile heroes like the Junkrat, like the Pharah, but Za's already comfortable on those. That's why we're seeing him pick that up right now. This is the interesting thing. Mikey A, he's going over to the McCree instead of playing the Tracer here, so they're expecting a bit more control style.
Well, this is not too surprising for Sanctum, but playing McCree when he's on a West Coast server, this could be pretty difficult. I understand doing it over the Tracer, I suppose, in this instance, but Mikey's gonna have to be very much on point. For now, both teams just trading off back and forth to begin with. Neither team investing too much, waiting for their Junkrat to make an opportunity, but both teams still very healthy.
Yeah, it's Mayhem Academy that has a more defensive style. They have the Diva, while Fusion University, they have Kraken on the Roadhog. He's already at 50% HP, but he'll be able to heal that up. Alarm already started off. Moopy has gone down. That allows Fusion University to step onto the point and take it.
And Alarm has always been Fusion's X factor, and it's there what's more. We mentioned in the preamble, he's very good at getting more kills than the average Zenyatta, especially at the Contenders level.
Speaking of more, we have more on the opposite end. We know that he can also have a lasting impact on games. But right now, this is a difficult position to do it in. Try to come in as a Zenyatta to get that first initial pickup. It's so hard when the enemy Zen has the angles to be able to spam.
All right, now we see Mayhem decide to go in through the room and just isolate space out this way. And what this is going to do, it's going to cause Fusion University to have to move on to the point. They can't play the way of just trying to pick them around off the sides. At least one person has to be on. It's going to be Roadhog that walks on over first. Meanwhile, Zachary and the Widow looking for Mikey or any easy targets. Kraken is going to get him early on. There's the tire on the other side, and Zah gets nothing. Who are you blows it right up. And Fusion is doing a really good job of just pinning Mayhem Academy in.
This entire time, Zachary's been on the outside, just taking shots into the tanks. Oh! Mikey A tries to go for a Deadeye, but it's right out in the open. And Zachary, with the help of Alarm, will finally be able to take Paintbrush out of the sky. Fusion University already at 57% now. Mayhem Academy, their best opening was using that Riptire, but it got cleared out by Who Are You?
Very interesting. We see Mikey going to the Widow, and one of Mayhem's biggest weaknesses, and we didn't mention on the desk, is that they don't run Widow, but they're running it here. We'll see if it works out for Mikey. It's going to be very difficult for him, particularly with the ping he's working with, or almost picked off early on. And Mikey just going to turn the corner, mostly looking for Zachary here, but he'll take whatever damage he can get, as Mayhem Academy being pretty slow about this, but they got to get to the point. Only 83% left.
Now, Kraken gets chunked down. It's Beast Halo to actually fall. And during that time, Mayhem Academy was able to flip over the point, but Kraken pushes forward. He's got the whole hog now, just melting through the tank line, the entire back line of Mayhem Academy. Paintbrush able to res more back into this. Transcendence will be used to try and stabilize this out, but will it be enough for them?
Well, we'll see. The tire got Paintbrush into the melee here, as Fusion University is not giving up this point with that fight. It did already flip the other way, but Zah is still working the outskirts. He was able to do most of the damage to Beast Halo to set up Mikey, and the tire gets Kraken. So Zah, in the moment right now, living on Junkrat and keeping Mayhem on the point, but is hardly from control, as Zachary is laying in damage from range. If he were to get Zah here, it would be huge.
The resurrection does bring Who Are You back into this. They made some presence on the point. There we go. Someone has to step on it. It is going to be contested now as Paintbrush brings Krems back into this. Able to make it back into his mech, but Zachary gets the heads up, taking out Mikey A, hunting him down. Now he's on the hunt for more. More does break line of sight. We are fighting out on the point. It's still in favor of Mayhem Academy.
Well, it was, but now Fusion University is coming back the other way. The early pickoff by Zachary made this really good for Fusion. Mayhem is getting bullied off of the point right now. And Who Are You? Just laying damage from the backside. Zachary, the long-range threat. And Fusion very easily retakes. Mayhem Academy down to their final 10% and just no real way of getting easily onto the point. They don't have any heroes that can easily get on through. It's going to be Krems, I guess, but they can stop that as Moopy is taken down.
Kraken with another whole hog. Zachary finds the shots onto Mikey A. That's Fusion University taking Sanctum. And as anyone who's had a pest problem before knows, it's so difficult to try and get into those walls to try and evict the rat, and that's what Who Are You was doing that entire time. He was in the cubby, just controlling the zone, and Mayhem Academy found no entrance whatsoever.
Well, the bigger thing to that too, it's hard to focus on your rat problem when you're getting dive bombed by something way further back. And while Who Are You had plenty of room to work with, you had Zachary in the back line doing significant work on the Widowmaker, hit scan work that was not being matched by Mayhem Academy.
Yeah, it's just pests everywhere, right? Spiders and rats, man. Sanctum, someone needs to keep it up a little bit better. Call in housekeeping. Now, as we move on to, it looks like it's going to be Village. We do have the triple tank setup coming up from Mayhem Academy with Mikey A on the Reaper.
And this is what we were kind of referring to in the beginning, where Mayhem Academy has a good chance of winning here, because this is one of the more unconventional maps as far as control goes. Mikey going to be on the Reaper, and if Fusion doesn't react to this well, it's very easily able to get snowballed the other way. They're going to dive on in, but this is where Reaper likes playing in the moment. Mikey can get a lot done here if Fusion University is careful. They need to back out. They didn't get the early pick they were looking for in the beginning, and they're lucky that Diva didn't just get deep-head crack-lacking on life's edge.
Oh, it looks like he is going to get D-Mech there. The dive comes out from Fusion University, but Mayhem Academy will step off the point. That's going to allow them to take it first, as Mikey A will get the D-Mech onto Crack-a-Lack, and now we have Who Are You just on the outside, building up that pulse. He's looking for it, throws it out, it's stuck, but oh! He dies to his own explosion now, and this is going to be Fusion University just backing away.
Look, you might be manipulating time, but some shame you can't rewind, as Who Are You ends up blowing himself up in the moment. Really big edge to Mayhem Academy to start this off.
That was great. Mayhem Academy, they know the strengths of their composition. They didn't want to fight out on the point, so they took it inside. But Fusion University didn't want to allow them free space there. They tried to dive on in, but you talked about it. It's so difficult to go into a Reaper, go into a Reinhardt. There's so much AoE, and now Moopy pushes forward. He's dropped down low. He's getting focused down.
But he's getting killed back up. Moore was on point. Gonna drop the Colossus right after, but Mikey overextends. Taken down by Crack-Black, and they don't have that DPS. Oh, goodness! They don't stay on the point. You have so many tanky bodies, and yet you let Fusion University cap that before the fight is over. Bit of a misplay there from Mayhem, as they do lose that pretty decisively.
Zal was so close to being able to get up his Graviton Surge, but seeing this triple tank composition, there's generally not a regular synergy between a D.Va and a Zarya. You need to actually coordinate with the barriers, with the defense matrix to keep Zal on high energy, but that entire time, he was sitting at about 40%, so it took a while for him to build it up.
Early barrier out here from Fusion. They're gonna wait just a little bit, and now dive in the Mayhem Academy. They get Moopy early on. They don't have to invest the EMP. Luckily for Mayhem, though, they didn't invest the Graviton of their own. They're just gonna let this storm pass, and they'll get another chance.
Right now, Alarm sitting at 53%. So this is the situation where you do want Zachary to use that EMP. You need to buy time for Alarm to get that Transcendence up for his team. Mayhem Academy, they're about to have almost all of their ultimates except for their Coalescence going to this next fight. This is a dangerous engage. Fusion University have to be careful.
It's dangerous, but they can pull out most of these ultimates. It's going to be fine. Mayhem Academy moving on in. The key factor here going to be the Graviton here early on. Don't end. Alarm got Paintbrush. The Graviton is in, but Mikey's down immediately. They were looking for way more of this investment from Mayhem. They weren't able to do much, and it's because of the just brilliant flank from Fusion University, aided by top-notch Zenyatta damage.
The self-destruct coming out from Crack-a-Lack and just completely separated the team of Mayhem Academy. You saw half of them were on the point, the other half were still making their way over to the point, and then from there they just got picked apart. Of course, Zachary with a huge EMP, shutting down all the ultimates, but still that means Mayhem Academy coming to this last fight, they've got 4 on deck.
Well, sometimes you just want to try and spin the win. It could be difficult for Mikey, but he's going to look for the opportunity. Barrier out for Mayhem early in the fight. Mikey has a D.Va Matrix in his face. Couldn't use it here just yet. Paintbrush down in the beginning. And Mikey is just going to stay here in the point. And Mayhem actually got the point in the melee. Going to start spinning, but spins for nothing. Gets a Zen Orb to the face at the end. And Fusion very much in control of that fight the entire way through. They're just going to recap easily, and that should be it. As Paintbrush, he knows it's over.
Overtime
tornado move
ticks away, and Fusion University will walk away with the first map in a pretty dominant 2-0 fashion.
Yeah, we saw kind of the same old there from Fusion. They've been across the board, they've been excellent when it comes to managing their ultimates. They've been excellent when it comes to managing a stagger, and we saw that happen pretty consistently in this map.
Yeah, and the thing that also, not only do we see that consistently, but you also now have the issue that we saw Mayhem try and run direct shot hit scan heroes in McCree and Widow, which they normally have not done, and they did to very little success, which means that there's no reason to believe right now that Mayhem Academy can actually run those options on a West Coast server, which of course is going to be problematic for them, because if they want to win the series, they need to get at least one on the West.
Yeah, and then on the Sanctum map, their first map of Nepal there, it was very similar case to Envision versus XL2, where both teams tried to run the mirror matchup. They had a Junkrat on either side, and then a Widowmaker. What was interesting was that after they tried to go for their Junkrat rip-tire play to try and make their way back onto the point, and it didn't work, that they didn't swap off. They didn't try to go for dive. We saw that XL2 ran into that same issue where they tried to run the mirror, they weren't able to retake, but they stuck with it, and it punched them in the end.
Yeah, you know, one of the kind of key players that we've mentioned quite a few times here for Fusion University is a player called Zachary, and we had a chance to catch up with him earlier in the week, and this is kind of his thoughts on what he thinks so far, his experience in Overwatch Contenders and his experience kind of going into playoffs. Let's take a look.
This is Heroes Rising, presented to you by Old Spice.
Old Spice Hand Gym. Get good, get gains.
Zachary.
I'm Zachary Lombardo.
And my battle tag is Zachary with 3 E's.
Zachary can be the dream breaker here.
All right, that's cool. I'll look out for that.
I play hitscan DPS for Fusion University.
Zachary still on the point. That's very good by Zachary.
The first time I walked into the Overwatch League stadium, it was actually like amazing. It was magical. Like I've never seen a screen like this big in the back, and the amount of seats there were, like I've never seen that before. So it was really eye-opening, and the Overwatch League just seems amazing to me.
So now here we go. Now they're gonna engage.
I'm from Orlando, Florida, and I'm a junior in high school. There's nothing like too special about my childhood. It's pretty normal. I live in like a middle-class family. I played soccer for like, I think 13 years or so. I gave up soccer to start pursuing esports.
Yeah, this was set up beautifully by Zachary.
At the beginning, my mom and dad weren't too sure. My dad like thought it was a pretty cool and interesting idea.
Zachary turns off the lights from above.
And my mom was just like really skeptical. She's like, oh, you're giving up soccer. That's like a pretty good career path. When you go to college, you can get scholarship money. And it took me a little while and some help from people not even in my family to convince my parents to let me like pursue esports.
So now Zachary going on in.
Off on the flank, pulse bomb ready. Oh, there's a self-destruct. The follow-through is there.
I excel at just like changing what I'm doing.
Zachary, who's buying time for Beast Halo.
Like I play DPS and specifically Tracer.
And Zachary, chewing through tanks, crack-lacking with the bomb over the top. Does not get picked off early and sets up his team beautifully.
I have to change my style a lot based off of maps or like the other team that we're playing and the styles of their Tracer. So I can change from being an aggressive, fighting the backline, or by attacking their Tracer.
He's fine, Zenyatta, and oh, gets him for free. Mission accomplished.
To get to the Overwatch League, I think that I need to perform as well as I can in Contenders, and to prove that I am just as good as all the players in the Overwatch League, and if not better than them. I think reaching the level of the Overwatch League would be like a dream come true to me, because I would be around all the best players, and I would be proven as one of the best in the world at the game.
Zachary, continue pursuing the Bastion dream.
And just having like all the support from the fans and just everybody around you to push you forward, it would be like a dream come true.
You know, and his performance today really has shown that he means every single word he says in that video. We have some replay here. This is him on Widowmaker. And like we've said, there really hasn't been a strong answer on Mayhem's side as far as a Widowmaker engagement. We saw, I believe, Mikey A kind of picked up Widow there for a second. But when it comes to what we see coming out of Zachary and the kind of the potential and the promise coming out of him, he's showing exactly what he means when he says he has his eye on the league.
Well,
he's a junior in high school. That's what he said. Yeah.
Also, potential is a very good note here, because we've seen a lot of players in Overwatch at the competitive scene where they have slight improvement, or in many cases, they might degenerate a little bit once exposed to higher-end competition. And Zachary is one of the most just strongest improvement stories that we've had in Overwatch to date. So he just gets better and better. And if he can keep doing that, there's really a collision course between him and OWL, and that could be very good for him. So it's been exciting to watch him develop, for sure.
Yeah, you know, and it's like you guys said, it's Contenders, we've kind of said it several times, Contenders is is the practice rounds for League. It's where people who are younger, maybe not of age yet to go into League, they get to kind of dip their toe into the competitive waters and see what that kind of pressure is really like and how they perform under it. And it's like he's a junior in high school. He's got like, what, 2 more years before he's even eligible to be on League. And to see where he's at today versus where we can even imagine him being in 2 years, it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty of times. I believe we still have 2 more seasons throughout the year of Contenders, and I mean he'll be playing through at least like 5 seasons of Contenders before he's even eligible for OWL. And we already saw 3 players already so far get picked up for the OWL. So this is an exciting time to be a prospective Overwatch player. Yeah.
As you guys just saw, we do have our next map. It is going to be Hollywood, and I guess to reiterate kind of the way how things have broken down as far as map selection and server selection. Initially, it's the highest seed gets to pick map or server. So that was Fusion University choosing to pick server on this last one. But because Mayhem did lose that last map, they get to choose both server and map, and this is where they're going. Why do you think they're picking Hollywood?
I think, for starters, that they can run Za on the defense, whereas Junkrat has been better than a lot of his other heroes. And this is also a map where Mikey feels very comfortable on the Tracer, whether it be on first point, splitting teams up, or as you get in the second and third, where we've seen him have big moments there as well. So I just think, in general, this has been a map that's been more favorable to Mayhem Academy, particularly when they get it on their own server.
Yeah, this is also a map where you can flex a little bit more into Za's hero pool, allow maybe go over to a triple tank setup that we saw on Nepal. Because point A offense, we've seen teams try all sorts of different kinds of compositions.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get into game and see where we end up. Fusion University currently leading the way 1-0. Will Mayhem be able to even that up? Let's wait and see.
So seeing Mikey here on the McCree is very interesting, given the fact that he hasn't really run it that much. He's been more focused on the Tracer. I guess this might have been Mayhem Academy's ace in the hole, and maybe it'll work out a little bit better now that they're on East.
Yeah, this is a quasi-dive composition coming up for Mayhem Academy. They've got, you know, the 2 mobile tanks in the Winston and the Diva, but they're going to be relying very heavily upon Za and Mikey A to control themselves in the back. We'll see if they can get the damage across. The Lucio is going to be able to speed boost them in. The jump comes out from Moopy. He's up on top, but he needs the help of Crackalakin.
Well, Crackalakin gonna have to get out in a hurry, almost getting teambacked in the moment. Mayhem Academy making space by winning the poke war early on. Fusion University, for now, trying to buy time. They're gonna dive in the other way. Beast Halo off the flank, and they got Paintbrush really early, but it came at the cost of Beast Halo as Mikey gets both tanks in the moment. Mikey gets Hurry on the other end, so he's making the McCree work this time around. And now they have almost everything they need to get into point A.
Already 1 tick going over for Mayhem Academy. Elk will be the final person to go down. From Fusion University, they're going to try and stall this out as much as they can. They are able to make it back with both tanks. Beast Halo and Crackalakin were the first to fall in that last engagement, but Beast Halo, once again, the first one to fall. We have a Deadeye to finish off Elk, and it's just Mayhem Academy just cleaning up the point.
And one thing that's worth noting here, too, is that we talk about the aspect of ping going in here. This is going to be much more difficult for Who Are You, where he's going from Korea to the East Coast right now. And dealing with McCree as a Tracer can be difficult at the best of times, as Zachary gets picked off. The biggest part here is that how much can you challenge McCree as Tracer when you're so delayed?
It's going to come down to having the help of Zachary. If he can maybe get the individual hack off onto Mikey A so he doesn't have the flashbang. Create a little bit more space for Who Are You when he gets in the back line. But now take a look at Mayhem Academy. They're playing so safely now. Za, he knows that there is, of course, an EMP in play. He drops himself all the way back with the Rip Tire. He's looking for the back line, and he will connect one to Alarm, but it's Fusion University that take it back. They go in for the counter dive, taking out 2.
Well, this is still pretty good for Fusion University. They get the 3 kills they need. They're going to be able to solidify. So, well done to Fusion University in the moment. And look, that was also a little bit risky where they decided to invest the EMP even as the tire was out. Could have gone the other way, but Who Are You? Too deep! This is going to give an opportunity to Mayhem on the other side.
Yeah, Who Are You chased them all the way over to their spawn. Right about there is where he fell to Moopy. And so now as we come into this next engagement, there's a lot less threats for Mayhem Academy to worry about. So now you see Mikey A just right on the payload, got dropped down low, but he will be able to break LOS, and now they're going to push forward with the sound barrier.
Fusion's going to start with the barrier. They have the Transcendence in the back, but look, you start out with the barrier, they got the kills they needed. It was on the edge, but they don't let Mayhem get out. That means that Alarm can hold on to this Transcendence. Another good, efficient gauge from Fusion.
Yeah, Mayhem Academy just got a little bit too brave there. It was surprising. I mentioned that Mikey was right on the payload, and generally, that's where the front line is. You don't want to be up there because you do see the dive coming on out. And when he tried to escape the Winston, escape the Diva, you saw him take the right-hand side exit where he jumped in through the building there. He was zoned out from the rest of his team. He was zoned out from the battle. He was able to do any kind of damage whatsoever.
I think you also isolate Mikey here, right? Where for now, he's been the biggest threat. I don't worry about Junkrat that much on second point Hollywood, but Mayhem, they're gonna dive in as much as you can, but their Sebas, who are you, gets blown up in the sky. Mikey, though, gets dove on by Crackalacken on the other end, so it's a trade DPS for DPS. Fusion getting the better of Mayhem Academy here once more. They force out the Transcendence, but the tire, he's used the DMAC Crackalacken. Even if Mayhem starts pushing it forward here, they've invested quite a bit for not a clean take on the point. And Zachary says, it's not the EP. Maybe not the best time to do it, but still gumming up Mayhem Academy a bit.
Oh, Mikey A, once again, who are you? Has seen more of the spawn than he has the actual map, as Za now pushes forward with that mine, takes out Zachary. But Fusion University are okay with these exchanges. They want to just buy as much time off of Mayhem Academy as possible. They're already down to 2 minutes and 25 seconds here. So job has been done, and the payload still has a good distance to move here.
Meanwhile, who are you? Connects on the board on the back end. 6-on-5 being set up for Fusion University unless Paintbrush does that. Evens it back up. Who are you still coming in on the flank? Has to be wary of Mikey. Goes in for Mikey up the Discord Orb, and Beast Halo finishes what was started. A very nice engage from Fusion University to open that up. And that's just what happens when you go in on what a Zen is marked down.
Yeah, and that was just great patience coming out from both Beast Halo and Who Are You. That entire time the orb was there, and we saw it on screen for a good 2-3 seconds, so they just knew. They called it out, and then they were able to just execute perfectly. And now, this payload is so far from the attacker's spawn that Fusion University are sitting pretty here on the defense.
And part of the reason why they're sitting pretty right now is that Mayhem Academy is not running a composition that can actually chase them down when they get a few kills. It's why Fusion has been just annoyingly always around and near the point, and oh my word, they almost got Moopy very early on. That would have been a horrific stagger, as Mayhem Academy is spending so much time on the setup right now.
And Fusion University, they know exactly where they are, so they're just going to rotate around, get Zachary. It's a great spot now. Za's going to go for this Rip Tire. Who Are You is on the flank. He wants to take him out. We'll see if he does. He will.
And he uses it just to finish off the Baby Diva, as Mikey has good position. Oh my word, Who Are You got both supports and one bomb. That tavern was not safe in the least. Don't book a room in that hotel, because you might get exploded.
And it's just this weird disconnect in this composition. They're half dive with the tanks, and then very stationary, immobile composition with the Junkrat and McCree. So now they're committing to one composition. It's going to be the dive, but it's coming out. 30 seconds left on the map. Mikey A going over to Tracer, Za now on the Genji.
I'll tell you what, going into this, you're definitely not going to get a Dragon Blade in this 25 seconds. The best you can hope for is that Mikey goes off, maybe gets alarmed, but alarm is Transcendence. It's even going to be difficult there.
And Elk is getting closer ever so much to his Valkyrie now. They've got the high ground. Alarm starts it off. Mikey A is gone. Paintbrush is already swapped off from the Mercy onto the Lucio, so now they don't even have a res for this. Za's gone down. That's both DPS. There's no damage for Mayhem Academy.
No, not in the least. And Alarm didn't even have to force out the Transcendence. He still has it in the moment. Zachary finishes off Krems, who's going for a highly optimistic self-destruct, and he's just polishing people off on the Widow in the backline. Overtime ticking down here. And Fusion University might be making this a quick one, because this is going to be an incredibly good hold here on Hollywood. You're in the middle of second, and it's just a little bit more cleanup. Overtime ticking down, and Alarm just gets a little bit of victory Transcendence as Fusion holds on point B.
We got to see how comfortable Fusion were even in that hold. They didn't use that Transcendence even though they had it at the beginning of the fight. They actually used the Valkyrie before that. It was when it came down to this 6v1 up against Za. They're like, okay, we're not going to risk any chances. Maybe he has Blade. We'll just go ahead and use it. And they finish it off. And this is such a great place to be able to hold. At 96.39 meters, Mayhem Academy, that's all that they were able to push it.
One thing that I think is really worth noting is that we're on an East Coast server. Alarm is playing from Korea, and he's still able to get huge opening pickoffs, even on a map like this, where Mikey was coming in from a very favorable angle. Alarm, more than any other player, bails Fusion University out of bad situation to bad situation, makes the impossible possible. To do that in the Zen role is just not something that most Zenyatas in the game do, and he has been sort of Fusion's trump card at many times.
Yeah, it seems like Fusion have just like multiple fail safes, right? If Who Are You isn't able to perform, Zachary can. If neither of them are performing, Alarm can. And that's what makes this team so darn dangerous. And we saw Who Are You did struggle at the beginning there, but Zachary with the Widowmaker was able to bring it back at times. And then of course Alarm having the pickoffs. So this team, they just play so well together. They can rely upon each other, and that's what you're looking for in a team.
Best chance here for Mayhem Academy is the full first point hold. If Fusion University comes in and gets us on even the second push, actually holding on second for that long of a time in that position, almost impossible. So Mayhem Academy, their iron hold must be now.
And this is a great way to do it. They've got the Junkrat McCree along with the Orisa Diva, so a very defensive, very damage mitigating composition coming out from them, but also very explosive, very burst heavy coming out. So Paintbrush is even on that Mercy to give them that extra oomph that they need to try and finish down the members of Fusion University. But again, we're looking at Alarm here. Will he start it all off? He's going to move through security, tries to go for some spam, gets halted, has to fall back, but he survives.
Well, he survives in the beginning. Za gonna fall very early on in this fight. The rest of Fusion University going to be wrapping around the right side. And this is not bad for Fusion University. They have Mayhem Academy surrounded on all ends. Yes, Za's gonna be brought back up. Losing Beast Halo, that makes it a little bit more difficult. More pressure on Crackalakin, still finds Paintbrush, but he's gonna get demeched. It should be Mayhem Academy able to stabilize a bit.
Krem's picking off Crackalakin, and Who Are You has made it back on with that Genji, but will it be enough? Zachary pulls bomb out, but they're able to just dodge it out, moving in between the barriers there, but so much damage was done. The cleanup, it can be there. They just need Who Are You to go off. He is still on the point.
That was ridiculous. Mayhem Academy exposed so many people to members of Fusion University that could dive on in. There was no rhyme or reasoning to their positioning there in the moment. They go, okay, we don't need a backup to the cafe. Please just jump your Winston on top of us. Now Fusion University very likely take this point. Mayhem Academy, if they try and get back out, it's not generally likely to go well in their favor. Yeah, your tire has taken down a Winston, but you need so much more. You've already lost your McCree as Zachary continues to just go wild in around the cafe area. Pulse bomb out, moves it in, blows up Paintbrush right there.
Oh, Paintbrush has not been having a fun time on this Mercy at all. Take a look at the dive coming out. Who Are You? And Zachary just transitioning from target after target. Here's the blade now as Zachary gonna lay into the tanks. He's going after the Junkrat, who has gone skyboard for now, but it's Crackalakin to clean up Moopy, and Krem's falling is just the last ditch Deadeye that gets shut down. Mikey A will fall. Now Fusion University as we move on to the second phase here. 4 minutes and 30 seconds to work with. All they need to do is push this payload another 80 meters.
At this point, please get off the Junkrat. Junkrat on Second Hollywood has never been his forte. Yeah, you can get a little bit more of him nowadays, but this is not good. You're not going to be able to challenge this the way you want to in the moment, and you're going to be relying more on the Junkrat than the Sombra. This is not a great defensive composition coming up from Mayhem Academy, as right now, Fusion University, they go perhaps a little bit too far. They use Crackalakin, but Zachary's gonna blow up Moopy. Every time Mayhem's getting edge, that happens, and Paintbrush gets greedy, punished in the moment, and oh my word, Za's going for a ride.
Fusion have been so good about covering these reses. Every time he tries to jump on in, Paintbrush does with that res. The rest of Fusion University will be there to follow up on him, and he's got to be careful when he goes for those, because that's, I think, 3 reses in a row now where he's just done it right out in the open.
That's been the Paintbrush all over Contenders, highly aggressive resurrections. It worked out a little bit better for Mayhem Academy in the beginning, but teams realize that, and oh no. Zachary creeping in the back, real close to a pulse bomb. This could be game-ending as Zachary's gonna go in from the back line, looks for more already wounded, draws the attention back, but while the attention's drawn back, Fusion comes at the front of the blade, Moore gets taken down. Who Are You might be gone, but the damage is still very much done as Fusion University flanks on all ends. This is looking like a quick victory for Fusion University. They just need a little bit more.
Self-destruct was used by Krems. He'll be able to make it back into his mech safely, so they can delay for now, but Za is getting hunted down. Beast Halo will take him out. That's an exchange for them, and it is Fusion University coming out on top now. Mikey A won't be able to get the EMP off, and they're going to push forward now. They've got the Transcendence. It looks like Mayhem Academy have finally stabilized. They're going to force back Fusion University.
Mayhem Academy getting away from the Reaper there, where Fusion University had them on the ropes, but now they've used everything, Jamerson.
Coming into this, Alarm will have that Transcendence because Moore did have to use that. He absolutely had to use it. You cannot leave anything on the table there, and so now Alarm. He started off a lot of these fights finding a huge initial pick for his team. We'll see, he's on the high ground. This is where Mayhem Academy have to be careful.
Mayhem Academy, they need to respect this in the moment. Beast Halo's gonna be on the ground, has Primal Rage to go in deeper. Pressuring the Junkrat, meanwhile Zachary on the other side, they're gonna get Za right away. Now they've lost D.Va in the moment, but you see Zachary, oh, if that connects, that would have been ridiculous. Not quite going to be Kobe here today, as Elk falls into the back. Who are you? This fight's still winnable, pulls out the blade, gets it, baby D.Va, goes Winston hunting, but bites off more than can chew. And here comes the tire from Za, might be fishing off, and it does.
So now Fusion University have been stalled out here at about the same point that Mayhem Academy were having difficulties making any further progress with the payload now. Most of their power just depleted as they used everything into that last fight. Kraken, he's been on this D.Va the entire time, but he's been having a difficult time just staying within it. Last time they tried to cover it, they tried to keep him alive with the Transcendence, but they weren't able to time it correctly. This time though, he does have the fallback of having that self-destruct. The dive comes out, Alarm in the back, he's getting hunted down, but he has the safety of his team to keep him alive.
And just good movement there too. Blade just amount of damage while backing up. Loopy gives up his life for nothing. And where does this put this? It puts it on Mikey, who's gonna have to EMP. Paintbrush is gone. So now for Mayhem, you're down 2 key members. How do you EMP to win this fight? Well, Mikey's gonna set this up. Drops it into the payload and immediately gets booped in the face. Elk finishing him off with the aid of Alarm and the support-powered Bloodlust out for Fusion University. Very close to putting this one away.
Elk just hit everything onto him along with that right-click boop now. They've got 5 members on the payload. They're trying their best to stall our Mayhem Academy, but they're coming in one by one. They're going to be able to make it on with Mikey A, but he has to use his translocate. He goes down, and that's Fusion University now. Starting it all off, they're already on match point 2-0.
Yeah, and again, Zachary, we saw just kind of methodically going through and working his way through that back line. Who is losing track? Is there one role who's kind of should be keeping an eye on Zachary more, or is it just they had their hands full with everyone else on the team?
I mean, certainly you have to control Zachary. I would say the bigger issue here is that I was not a fan of the compositions that Mayhem Academy is running, particularly with what they have historically been good at. I don't think you stay on the Junkrat in Hollywood second in most cases, certainly not with what was going on there. It was difficult for Za to be as effective as he would have been perhaps on other heroes. So I just think overall, like for Mayhem Academy, they had decent execution for what they're running, but why run that in the first place?
Also, the difficulty is right now trying to keep Zachary contained is more than difficult than usual case. He's playing out of his mind. We're seeing moments where, okay, so Moore and Paintbrush, they're playing the Zenyatta Mercy, and if his Zen gets dove upon by a Tracer, he's usually able to just heal through it with the Mercy pocket. But Zachary keeps him on a sliver of health, even though he's getting pocketed down. So he's just playing out of his mind right now. Everything is hitting.
The other thing, too, is that we've seen Mayhem Academy go for this over and over again over the course, where Paintbrush plays Mercy as if her res was instant. I have bad news for you. The resurrection is no longer instant, and he goes for some of the greediest resurrections that we've seen in all of Contenders, and it just wasn't working here.
Yeah,
you'd go for the res and Fusion would punish.
That's something that you've kind of mentioned a couple times, ZP, is that you feel like maybe Paintbrush might be one of the shakier supports on the Mayhem team.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think he's been one of the weaker flex supports, and then you look on the other side where you have both Elk and Alarm just playing at a very high level, where Alarm is probably the hardest Zenyatta to kill in all of Contenders, and Elk, as mentioned, just remarkably solid. You rarely see him get put in a bad spot. You hardly ever see him die until the team fight is over, and oftentimes he's able to get away. So just on a support end, Mayhem for now is outclassed.
Yeah, and talking about putting Elk into a difficult position, well, when you have an EMP dropped right on top of you, that's one of the scarier positions to be in. But you know what? He kept his cool. He was able to hit every projectile onto Mikey A and then finished him off with a melee boop. Like that is just complete, just calm, cool, collected play coming out from him. It was fantastic to see.
Yeah, all right. Well, we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have more action to see. Can Mayhem do this little reverse sweep action against Fusion University? We'll find out. Stay tuned.